Excellent. So welcome to this webinar on what's new for QuickBooks 2018 in the desktop version. I'm excited to be here today. I am backed up with some really great help. Wendy's going to be helping technically, so if you've got any questions with a technical nature about this GoToMeeting, she can help you. Woody is back there, my right-hand man. Boy, I love working with Woody, and he's going to be there to answer questions about the new features. I will, as time permits, keep my eye out on the Q&A panel as well so that I can address those questions, time permitting, for each of us. So a little bit about myself. Our firm is an Intuit Premier reseller, and I'm really humbled to have been included in the top 10 and top 100 QuickBooks ProAdvisors for multiple years. I've completed the advanced certifications in both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online, and for many years have been a QuickBooks author of technical guides and training videos. Our agenda for this 1 hour includes discussing and demonstrating what's new and improved for the QuickBooks Desktop software, and sharing with you how to use the Accountant Toolbox, which is included with your ProAdvisor membership. So without further delay, let's get started. I will mention that in the chat window is a link. You may download the PowerPoint slides as a PDF, and you also have access to a very nice detailed guide, which should help prevent you from having to take too many notes. You can sit back and relax today. Well, sort of relax. If you're here for CPE credits, they can be earned by attending this webinar. And to confirm your engagement and participation, you must answer multiple choice polling questions that are included in this webinar. The polls will be shown multiple times during the webinar. Do know that we are using knowledge checks to help you learn. A correct answer is not required to earn your CPE. But gosh, answer them correctly. That makes me feel a lot better. Our learning objectives: identify new and improved features that help you and your clients work more efficiently using QuickBooks Desktop 2018. Review the benefits of the QuickBooks ProAdvisor membership with access to the Accountant Toolbox. And yes, I do see an answer in Q&A. If you have any trouble hearing me, of course you wouldn't hear me say this, but refresh your browser if you have any technical difficulties. Sometimes that can solve that. All right, let's get started. Each demonstrated feature is available in QuickBooks Pro, Premier, Accountant, and Enterprise, unless I make mention otherwise. This is the QuickBooks Desktop 2018 software we're talking about today. Wow, we've got a really fun improvement this year, and it is one of my favorites. It is accessible in all versions of QuickBooks Desktop. You know, computers are more and more a necessity in getting our work done, and I can speak from experience that having more than one monitor can indeed boost productivity. For example, you want to view the vendor's address details while you're creating a vendor bill. Or perhaps you want to align two reports next to each other for comparison. I do that a lot. The next few slides will give you all the needed information about the setup and use of this new feature, as well as the information in the guide that you can download from the link in the chat window. I will not be demonstrating this particular feature. While it is possible, it does require me to go in and out of a meeting, and I just didn't want to complicate things today. For savvy QuickBooks advisors, you knew that in prior versions, if you had the View Multiple Window setting enabled, you could tile open windows, but only within the QuickBooks workspace, not to other connected monitor workspace. From the View menu or keyboard shortcut of Control-Alt+M, you first enable this feature. And it is a personal feature. Everyone has the View menu in their use of QuickBooks. Once you've enabled the multi-monitor mode in QuickBooks, you can take advantage of the extra monitor space. A new button displays in the top right area of an open QuickBooks window, where you can drag, drop, or use the Control-Alt+M shortcut to move the window to a connected monitor. For the feature to work, when using the multi-monitor view, your connected monitor displays must be aligned at the top or along the left sides per this image and the details in the provided guide. Here is a view of my desk. I cleaned it up a little bit for you, of course, and how you and I can now use QuickBooks 2018. I'm able to move open QuickBooks windows freely with drag and drop and resize, or use the Control-Alt+M shortcut to move a window to a connected monitor. Basically, the QuickBooks workspace extends up to 3 connected monitors. Then you can conveniently work in QuickBooks with multiple windows open. While you are working, your view settings are persistent. For example, if I were to close the Open Vendor Bill on the right monitor and open it up again during the same QuickBooks session, QuickBooks will open the bill again on the right monitor with the placement I have that you see here. When you close the QuickBooks program and later return, you will re-enable the View Multiple Monitor mode and then arrange your open windows to your liking. Let's move on to another improvement. The QuickBooks homepage makes it visually more apparent that there are payroll liabilities due within the next 7 days. This feature works for those who subscribe to Enhanced Payroll. The resource slide at the end of this presentation includes a link for more details. With this 7 days heads up, users will be more likely to take a look at the payroll liabilities window before it's too late to make a timely payment. You might be asking yourself how a small badge could make a difference. The top image on this slide represents payroll that is not yet due. If the payroll clerk is attentive, they will be looking at this window to determine when the payroll liabilities should be paid. If it is not until 1 day before the due date or when the liability is actually past due, does the Payroll Liability tab show the colored badges you see in the second image at the bottom. Users will have to be in the Payroll Center to see the badges in the first place. Having the red badge displayed on the home page provides a sense of urgency to the need to view and pay the upcoming payroll liabilities timely. Our next improvement we're going to wait on. Let's take a minute and do a polling question if we could. Wendy, would you let the attendees see the first polling question? And I'm watching from my other monitor. So the improvement made to payroll liability reporting is a red badge that displays on the home page 1 day before liabilities are due, a red badge displays on the home page when liabilities are past due, or a red badge displays on the home page when liabilities are due within 7 days. And I'm going to see if I can see the results. I think when you close the poll, let me see here. All right, so we're just about there. Remember, if you want CPE certificates for your attendance, you do need to answer. A right answer is not required, but a right answer makes your instructor really happy. And I'm going to give it just another second or two here. I do see a question. I saw the question about monitors and how they're attached. Any connected monitor is accepted however it attaches. There's no requirement for how the monitor attaches. It just has to be visible in your Windows display in order to be used. All right, I think we can close that poll. It looks like the majority of you were correct. The correct answer is the red badge is shown on the home page when the liabilities are due within 7 days. That gives us a heads up so that we can pay it timely. But on to the next new and improved feature. This next feature also provides a visual reference. In this case, a past due stamp displays on a screen when a customer invoice has an overdue amount. Managing the past due stamp visibility for the purposes when printing or emailing the invoice is easy with a new setting on the invoice template. With the settings selected, the default is to include the past due stamp on invoices that are emailed or printed. While the setting is global for any invoice created with that template, it can be turned off and on individual invoices at a time when you print or email to the customer, because you may not always want to display the past due when you send it to the customer. But I don't know, I would say include it. If it's past due, let the customer see it. The next feature we will discuss is a specific tool designed for the accounting professional. We love those. How many times have you worked with a new QuickBooks user to find that they have inadvertently created duplicate vendor records? For years, we've been able to merge two records together. However, a bit of manual work was required. Now in QuickBooks, we can merge up to 4 individual vendor records, creating one resulting vendor record. This is an accountant-specific tool and is part of your client data review tools, available with our QuickBooks Accountant, QuickBooks Enterprise, or Accountant Toolbox access for your Pro and Premier clients. More about the Accountant Toolbox coming up in just a bit. The Merge Vendors window makes it easy to identify the duplicated records, either by using the search box or by clicking on the column headers to sort the displayed list by that selected column header. Much easier than going through the long list manually. With the duplicated vendor records selected, select one of the vendor records to be the master record or the remaining vendor record. For the vendors selected, all transactions will be merged into this master vendor record as if they were originally recorded using this vendor. During the process of getting the merge ready, you may find useful information in one vendor record omitted from another vendor record. Easily update selected master vendor field details in this window before merging them together. Information that can be updated in this window include those listed on this slide. In addition, you can also include and merge information shipped from, main email, print name on check as, and other fields can be updated in the master vendor record so that when the merge is completed, all other fields have been transferred over into that particular record. But you do have to manually copy and paste the information that you want to reside in the master vendor record if you're making changes. As part of the merge process, making a backup is the next step by default, but users can choose not to make a backup and simply complete the merge process. After the merge, all prior transactions are treated as if they were originally recorded using the vendor that was selected as the master vendor record. It's important to consider that information is not merged with this tool, including notes, contacts, to-dos, sent email list, and of course, 1099 forms that were already filed. I am sure many of us are going to be cleaning up the vendor lists in our client's file this coming tax season. Let's take a quick look at some of these new features in the QuickBooks software. So let me go into QuickBooks. Now I happen to have QuickBooks Enterprise open, but please know these next features are available in Pro, Premier, and Accountant and Enterprise, and I'll explain if there's a difference here. First, I call your attention down here to the flag that's new on the Pay Liabilities icon. That will display if you or your client have an enhanced payroll subscription. Information about that is found at the end of the slide on a resources link. Enhanced payroll subscription can include either the basic one that the client uses or enhanced for accountants, which allow us to do multiple clients' payroll. But what's different is that now there is a liability that is due within 7 days. So that badge does not necessarily mean it's late. It could be late, but it also means that it's due, causing attention for the user to see a sense of urgency to come into the window and see what's due. So you can see here that my liabilities are not yet due. So even though the badge was there, the urgency was created, hopefully making it more likely that if you or your clients are taking responsibility for payroll tax payments, that they have time to react and pay them timely. Once the liability is past due, then this window will show a badge, but nothing displays on the home page previously, so that red badge is what has made an improvement for us and for our clients. Let's look at the past due stamp on invoices. And I thought that I had an invoice, so let's just quickly create one here. And we'll just sell some chains, and we'll sell 10 chains, and we're going to just make this late. Okay, so we're going to make sure that it's late, and let's save that record. Notice that there is a past due stamp that displays. Now, the template is what controls whether that stamp can be turned on or off. So I'm going to go here into the formatting. I'm going to go to the templates. This is the template that I was working on, so I'm going to click OK. And there is a little button that we click off here, Print Past Due Stamp. Select this only when you want to include the past due information stamp. So I'm going to make that change to that template. And notice now, I'm going to enlarge that so you can see. Not only on screen do I see the past due, and that's always the case. If that little check mark is or is not selected on screen in QuickBooks, you'll always see past due. But whether or not it prints or is included on an emailed invoice is subject to that setting. Now, if I don't want this invoice to know that it's past due, and I don't want to call attention to my client for that piece of information, I can't imagine why, I can turn that off. And when that's turned off, when I email or print the invoice is printed without the past due stamp. So again, the setting is located on the templates. So whatever templates are being used, make sure that that's either turned on or off. But do tell your clients, and for your own work with your own client files in QuickBooks, that it can be managed individually on an invoice, whether or not to display it when it's emailed and or printed. Next, let's look at the merge vendor records. This is an action that you can use in your accountant software, and you can use in Enterprise. In Enterprise, and this is all in the guide, but in Enterprise, you just need to log in as the external accountant or the admin user. But in your clients that are using QuickBooks Pro or Premier 2018, in those versions, you will need to have your accountant toolbox access. More information later in the presentation, and much more detail is provided in the guide than I will even cover today. But here on the Client Data Review menu is my Merge Vendors window. On this window, I can search for a particular string of characters. I can search by vendor name, company name, or billed from, and select the search or reset it. I can also click on any one of these header names in order to search by that. Presently, I am sorting alphabetically by vendor name. And if I just scroll through my list, I've got 3 that I can see appear to be duplicates. Looks like a misspelling, a change in the name. So once selected, I'm going to click Next in the lower right. Notice that I have the 3 records. I could have up to 4 displayed, but I've got 3 records here. And I decide which of these 3 is going to be my master. Let's just select the middle one to be the master record. As soon as that little radio button is selected, the fields that can be edited are listed right here. So I'm looking at the fields and I see that over here someone was good enough to put a phone number. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over to my master vendor record, which has a box that can be filled out, and I'm going to paste that information. Likewise, I can make any changes to any of the information that's displayed in a box. The choice is, by default, to backup and merge. In our demonstration today, I won't do the backup piece, but boy, do we want our customers to do that for sure. I'm going to select merge. Do you want to merge? Yes. And so now notice that I only have one City of Bayshore record left. So the new feature is a real enhancement and improvement on efficiency. Before, we had to select 2 vendors, have them share a name, and merge them that way. This way we can select up to 4 and merge them very conveniently. Let me go quickly to, I am trying to find the Q and here we go. Let me see if there's any questions that I need to answer. I know Woody's doing, excuse me, I know Woody's doing a great job. So let me just see, merge vendors, any cautions regarding sales tax vendors and payroll item vendors? Indeed, if you look at the guide, there are vendors that you cannot merge, and those are some of the vendors: sales tax vendors, payroll item vendors, vendors with online downloadable transactions. More details are provided in the guide specifically. The guide that's mentioned is in the chat window. You can click that link. All right, I think we're good to continue here. So let's go back into the presentation here. All right, next we have the copy and paste line keyboard shortcut. Many of our clients offer products or services that would benefit from the ease of duplicating rows of data. In QuickBooks 2018, with a simple Windows keyboard shortcut of Control-Alt+Y, a selected row of data can be copied. This copied row can then be pasted to a new row with Control-Alt and V. Use this on estimates, sales orders, sales receipts, and other documents. One of the most desired features about using QuickBooks for the growing business is the ease of reviewing their financials in both accrual and cash basis. Preferences in QuickBooks define the desired report basis default. But how many times have you encouraged a client to review their financials in accrual for management decision-making, and they only want to see it in cash basis? Now the business owner can simply toggle a displayed report between either cash or accrual without having to customize the report or change the reporting preference defaults. Next, do you have clients like I do that have a very lengthy chart of accounts list? Well, if so, this feature will help both you and the client by making it possible to search on that list. Search by account name, partial name, or account number. QuickBooks will find any and all matches on the list of the text typed in the search box. Wendy, I think we are ready for the second polling question, and I may not have given enough information to answer that now that I see the polling question, but let's see how good you are at knowing how QuickBooks behaves. So the search function in the chart of accounts works efficiently by finding matches in the first word of a chart of accounts list name. So if you've been working with QuickBooks for a while, you sort of know how the search behaves. It improved, I think it was last year it improved. So it's the same way here on the list. Or does it find matches in the first part of any word of a chart of accounts list name? Or does it find matches in any part of any word of a chart of accounts list name? This is hardly fair because I didn't give you enough information to go on for that. Let me see if I can see the status of the poll. Let's keep going. Again, if you want your good old CPE credits, make sure to participate. Let's see if there's any questions while you're answering the poll that I need to address. Let's see. So always check your preferences, Jeffrey. Edit reports, preferences. It is a company preference. Log in as admin, and that's where you can set the default for accrual or cash. Is the search case sensitive in the chart of accounts? No. The guide should not require a login. That should just be a free download from Hightail. Intuit will help you with that behind the scenes here. Okay, so the answer is it will find matches. So if I'm typing text letters, so I type the letters THE, it would find any match where THE is in the first part of any word of a chart of accounts list name. So I realize that question probably was given to you without enough information in my verbal, but it is in the guide. If you're typing numeric numbers, it will find, if you type 500, it will find 500 anywhere that number exists. So hopefully that helps. A little bit of learning there about the chart of accounts search. Thank you so much. We'll close that poll and we'll move on. With QuickBooks Desktop 2018 comes a more enhanced, updated email security. Some users may already have seen this option in later maintenance releases of QuickBooks 2017. This new security works with Gmail, Outlook, Hotmail, and others. In the Send Forms individual user preference, so get that, it's an individual user preference, there is a new checkbox, Use Enhanced Security. Once the setup is completed, the user will no longer need to enter their webmail password every time they are emailing from within QuickBooks. If you email from within QuickBooks, you know the pain I am speaking of. The setup of this added security requires the user to enter their Intuit ID and password. Those are the credentials created when QuickBooks was installed. In fact, multiple Intuit IDs can be used with one QuickBooks file. After entering the Intuit ID credentials, you are directed to log into your webmail client and approve the QuickBooks Desktop app connection. On to our next feature. Continuing with another improvement this year is the added customization available for selected QuickBooks inventory reports. And it's worth stating here, this is true for QuickBooks Pro, Premier, and Enterprise, all versions. For the following reports, the inventory valuation summary or detail, the stock status by item, and the assembly shortage by item. And if you notice on the screenshots here, the top screenshot to the left is what QuickBooks 2017 looks like with one of the particular reports. That same report in QuickBooks 2018 includes the ability to customize the columns displayed, that is, select from relevant columns, as well as reorganize the order of those columns. Very, very useful for those reports. Worth mentioning here is a new requirement, so not a new feature, not an improved, but a new requirement for running QuickBooks Desktop 2018. QuickBooks 2018 requires Internet Explorer version 11 on computers running the program. This is independent of the user's individual choice for a default browser. QuickBooks uses Internet Explorer 11 for help pages, online banking, payments, and other features. Open Internet Explorer and click on the gear icon on the top right and select About Internet Explorer to verify your computer has IE version 11 or newer. Let's return to QuickBooks for a look at these last few mentioned features. So let's look at the copy line and paste line. Let's go back to the invoice. We'll just look at that last invoice that we created. So let's say that this line took a bit of work and they wanted the exact same line. So I can do Control-Alt. So I've got my mouse, first of all, on the row. I'm doing Control-Alt-Y on the keyboard. I'm moving my mouse down to the next row, and I'm doing Control-Alt-V, and that pasted the exact same details exactly as the prior row. There are many clients that you will find that extremely useful in the way they do their work. Sometimes when we work with them, we can find other ways to manage what they're trying to change. But for those that need it, please make sure that they know about that feature. And by the way, your clients, when they get the newest version, can go to the Help menu and can select the new feature tour, as well as you can do this and see a quick demonstration and some helpful links to more information about the features. All right, so that's the copy line and paste line. This is going to be a favorite for a client of mine where we constantly have this, shall I say, argument about whether to look at accrual versus cash. Notice how easy it is. I'm going to make that a little larger. Right on the face of the report, I didn't have to do any setting. That will be displayed on any report. that offers an accrual or cash difference. Some reports don't offer the ability to see them in either, but simply selecting accrual or cash. And this one won't change because I have very few transactions in this particular custom-made file for the next demonstration. But had I had differences, you would see them simply by toggling between the two. And that is, someone had asked, in addition to whatever the default is set here in Reports and Graphs on the Company Preference tab. You must be logged in as the admin user to get to the Company Preferences tab. In this file, I have set accrual as the default. So that's the default, but it can easily be changed in 2018 just by changing that right there. So let's look at our chart of accounts and the ability to search. So if I were to search and say INS, and I were to search, I've got Payroll Liabilities Health Insurance, INS, the first few letters of the last word in that chart of account name, and the first few letters in that first word of that chart of account name. If I had account numbering turned on and I searched for account number, it would find any occurrence where those digits in the numeric fields that I had typed can be matched. That's how the search works in the chart of accounts. The updated email security is simply a setting, so it's in preferences. It is a personal preference, so do make sure when you're setting this for your client, you are logged in as their user in QuickBooks. Come to the Send Forms, and if webmail is selected and you select Add, and let's just say that I do Gmail, by default, this little box right here is checked, Used Enhanced Security. Now, I'm not going to follow through on it here, but you have all the details for signing up for enhanced security by allowing the QuickBooks app to be connected to the webmail provider. More details in the guide on that setting. And believe me, I email out of a QuickBooks file daily, and I was daily having to enter my webmail address. So that's what's improved big time. And then still in Pro, Premier, and Enterprise, for instance, if we were to go to Inventory, and let's do Stock Status by Item, and we were to customize that report, what has improved is this box now displays in QuickBooks 2018, where it did not display previously. Looking quickly at the questions. So the copy and paste line is a row of detail on a transaction. That's what's new this year. What's new is the keyboard shortcut, the Control-Alt-Y and the Control-Alt-V. So yes, we had a right-click copy and a right-click paste, but we didn't have the keyboard shortcuts working. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Is there a separate guide for each version of QuickBooks? I'm not sure, but you might want to do a Google search, and there might be different versions out there. Okay, so let's go back into our presentation. Now we're into some really heavy-hitting features. This is for your QuickBooks Enterprise user, particularly your Enterprise user with inventory. If you're joining me for CPE today, and you've got inventory clients, please, this is one you really want to pay attention to because this is a game changer. This is a real game changer in the working of QuickBooks Enterprise with advanced inventory. So they must have an advanced inventory subscription, which is the Platinum Edition. Again, more information on the link at the end of the presentation. The mobile barcode and serial number scanning works with QuickBooks Enterprise 18 with advanced inventory, collecting data in the warehouse and sending updates via the cloud back to the QuickBooks Enterprise file. Works with barcode-capable scanners or manually update quantities with an Android mobile device. Add notes on the mobile device to the pick list. And you know what? If you can't pick the right quantity, store a note that will update the pick list in QuickBooks about the issue. Warning messages display on the mobile device when quantities recorded as picked differ from requested quantity. The guide that you have accessible today from the chat in this webinar, or if you're watching it recorded, at a later date. The link will be provided also in your communications on the webinar. We'll provide you many screenshots to give you more of a visual of what it looks like working on that mobile device. This new sales order fulfillment workflow starts first with creating a list of inventory pickers. They are simply a vendor record with a new QuickBooks defined type of warehouse user. I've heard some say, but wait a minute. My pickers are usually employees, so why is it not an employee? Well, there could be an equal amount of inventory pickers that are hired as subcontractors in an outside managed warehouse. So by default, the only pickers that will be able to be assigned in this new workflow, which you're about to see, is a vendor record that's assigned this new user type of warehouse user. Once created, these users can then be assigned to open pick lists created from sales orders. And when the user logs in to their connected mobile device, they will see their assigned pick lists. It's really easy. I've done it many times myself. Install the app on any compatible mobile barcode or phone device. It works with Android phones. I've got it installed on my Android phone, but you can find a link at the end of this course, again, about supported mobile devices and barcoding devices. Just simply look for the QuickBooks Desktop Warehouse app if you're on an Android device. It's free. There's no fee. Additional details for connecting devices are found in the preferences for site operations, found by logging into the file as the admin user, going to the Items and Inventory Advanced Inventory Preference settings. After installing the app, the scanner or Android mobile device connects the devices or devices to the QuickBooks Enterprise file simply by connecting the device to the internet. So it's very important to know this is not a device that is tethered to a computer as we've had to have in the past. And it's not a device that relies on some connectivity tool like we've had in the past with SDK applications. This mobile device simply connects to the enterprise file via the internet. So any warehouse that can have a successful internet connection can have the supported mobile devices connected. Connecting multiple devices to a QuickBooks file is really, really super easy. Again, I said simply install the app on the supported device, and when you select to add a device here in the QuickBooks Site Operations preference, QuickBooks will generate a code, enabling you to connect the device to the file through the internet. So both QuickBooks Enterprise has to have access to the internet as well as the mobile device. Next, simply enter this code into the mobile device setup to connect the device with the QuickBooks data file. It's really that easy. The QuickBooks file and the mobile devices are connected via an internet connection and again do not need to be tethered. What's even better, the warehouse pickers do not need to access the QuickBooks file. They simply access their assigned pick lists on the connected devices. And again, only warehouse pickers that are set up as vendor records with that new type of warehouse user will be selected as a picker on the mobile device. Let's take a minute and let's go into our polling question number 3 before we go on with this demonstration. Polling question number 3. Let me look at the questions. Can the width of a column be changed in the chart of accounts and make it default? Not sure, but you can right-click Customize Columns on the chart of account. More information about the email security is found in the guide, Joan. More detailed information. There's tokens that are passed back and forth authorizing the connection of the app to your webmail settings. Perfect. All right, so on to our polling number 3. So warehouse user. To sync warehouse users with a mobile device, they must first be set up as an employee, a vendor, or an other name. Let me take a quick look. So let's get a few more votes coming in. So employees, vendors, or other name, which list does the new warehouse user must be on in order to be accessible from the mobile devices that are out in the warehouse? And the answer is vendor. They must be a vendor with the warehouse user type assigned. No other vendor record, no other employee record, no other type of record will be visible on the mobile device. So it must be a vendor record. Even if they're an employee with the firm, you must create a vendor record for them, and they must be assigned the warehouse inventory. So we've got just another, I think we can probably close that poll. We're just about done here. Thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate your help there. Okay, continuing on, the new sales order fulfillment workflow includes filtering and viewing open sales orders a number of ways, helping the user to decide which to send for picking first. When creating the pick list in QuickBooks, the clerk will assign a picker, that's the warehouse user we created, and add an optional note and send the pick list note to the mobile device. Here is where the efficiency begins real time. The office running QuickBooks can send to the mobile device, again via the internet, no tether, no SDK, just via the internet. After logging into the mobile device, the QuickBooks Warehouse app, the user's individually assigned pick lists will be displayed. They can scan barcodes if they've got a scanner, or they can scan serial numbers, or if they're not using a scanner device, but they're just using, say, an Android cell phone, they can manually update the quantity picked right inside the mobile app. When the recorded quantity does not agree with the requested pick quantity, warning messages display on the mobile device, again as a chance to improve efficiency. Efficiencies gained with real-time updating of the status of picked products right on the sales order inside of QuickBooks. Each step in this process, the QuickBooks user remains in control. The QuickBooks user controls when the data imports are accepted, when the sales orders in QuickBooks are updated with the pick list details. Let's go back to QuickBooks to demonstrate some of this functionality for you today. So I've got it sort of set up, and you will not see my mobile device today, so you'll look at the guide later for those images. But let's just take a look at what I've got in the file. So I have my an unpicked sales order. This is a sales order. Nothing unusual about the sales order window other than there's now a column for picked status. Notice it says open, and the picked quantity. There's no picked quantity on this order. So we're going to work with sales order 1157. That's the one we're going to update right now. So I'm going to go into my sales order fulfillment worksheet. Again, this is QuickBooks Enterprise with an advanced inventory with this functionality enabled. So you had to enable it just really quick here. You had to go in Preferences, Items and Inventory, Company, Advanced Inventory, all of this is in the guide, a new tab for Site Operations, and notice that I have a mobile device that has been assigned to this file. I could have multiple devices, and I've enabled this new sales order fulfillment worksheet functionality. Well, let's go see how it works. It is a game changer. So here are my open sales orders. You can see these two are picked. This one is open. We're going to click Next to create a pick list. Now I could choose whether, I'll go back. Let's go back here because I want you to see this. I can search by customer. I can search by site. I can search by status, open, sent for pick, partially picked, and a combination of whether it can be fulfilled or not. This one today, to simplify our demonstration, is totally fulfillable. But if not, we would see a message that it was not fully fulfilled. You could see partial, no, or yes. So now we'll go next, and we're going to create our pick list. So here I could choose which items to pick. If I didn't want to send an item to the picker, I could deselect it here, but I'm going to select Next. And I'm going to say Add to box from yesterday, okay? Or any message that you want to send. These would be your vendor records that are listed as a warehouse user, that particular type. And I'm going to create and send, knowing that this file is connected to the internet. And perfect. So the pick list was created. You can begin picking now. So it didn't take too long. So now I'm going to close that on my mobile device. I'm selecting refresh. I've logged in as my assigned picker. I am on this mobile device because I'm not actually scanning anything. I'm using a plus sign to accept the quantity that I'm picking. And I'm just doing that with my fat little thumb here. And then I'm going to, it was only 2 rows. I'm going to complete it on the mobile device. And it's asking me, do you want to complete this pick list? I'm going to answer yes. And I am told that it's syncing the data and it says, good job, the pick list is completed. Love those nice messages. And so now I wait till I'm refreshed with more pick lists. So now let's go, let's close this window. We'll go back to our, move my window out of the way, and I'm going to refresh. There's a little icon here on my sales order window. I'm going to refresh. Notice it says open here, and I'm going to refresh again. I may have to go, let's go back here to perfect. So now it shows on the pick list window that it's picked, right? So I'm going to go here, and I'm going, and there's probably a much better way for this, I'm sure. I'm going to select update the sales order down here in the lower right. Now I do have options here to view the pick list, print the pick list, or print a packing slip. But I'm going to update the sales order. And I'm going to go back to the sales order. And now you can see the status is picked and the quantity is picked. Now that was all using a mobile device. We created the sales order in Enterprise. We then created a pick list from within Enterprise, and then that pick list was sent to a mobile device where the device user picked it up, logged in, and accepted those quantities and picked them. Should your client not want to use a mobile device, this entire method could be done by printing paper, handing the paper to the warehouse picker. The warehouse picker is in there for their day, manually updating the records, and brings it back to the QuickBooks file to update the file. So it truly is a game changer. Please do look at the document, because I've done a great level of detail to help you and your clients understand how that works. And you know, Joan, I agree, these features are amazing. It would be nice, she says, to filter by class. So, you know, make sure that you go and help submit improvements, because we need to get this out there. We need our clients using this. So a really, really nice feature. Let me go back into the presentation. Again, I mentioned, so if there is no mobile device, simply print the pick list. The optional workflow is that easy. Then come back into the QuickBooks file, update the quantities picked on the pick list, select auto update the sales order, and the sales orders are automatically updated from the manually typed in pick list quantity, if that's how your client chooses to work. Now, just at the very end here, I needed to include this because your QuickBooks ProAdvisor program includes access to a toolbox that's very important for use with the Combined Vendors tool, as well as other tools. So while I'm not here to really tell you or share with you all the details of the QuickBooks ProAdvisor program, there is a link here. I do want you to know that by joining the Deluxe or Premium ProAdvisor program level, that's on this slide, the green or the blue, you will have access to the Accountant Toolbox. The Accountant Toolbox access works with important and useful accountant tools. It's really helpful for me when I work with a client who is on QuickBooks, and it goes back quite a few years, by the way. I forget how many years, but it's been a lot of years. The tools that are included in your Accountant Toolbox access, if you belong to one of those 2 levels of the ProAdvisor program, include reclassifying transactions in batch. That is, your clients on QuickBooks Pro or Premier, you don't have your accountant software. You've gone to the client site, or you're remotely accessing the client's software, and you want your tools. Troubleshoot beginning balances. I don't know how I'd reconcile back to a filed tax return without that. Write off small balances, and of course, merge vendors, the newest accountant feature this year. There's so much more. In fact, you can visit my website. On the left, there'll be a page with my latest QuickBooks book. It's a few years old, but it's still very handy. But on that page is an entire chapter on using the client data review tools. To get started using the Accountant Toolbox, request that your client create a user for you and assign you the user type of external accountant. When you are at their place of business, log into their file with the external accountant user they created for you. From the company menu in QuickBooks, you will be able to unlock the Accountant Toolbox after entering your ProAdvisor credentials for those working in Pro and Premier. For Enterprise, just log in as an external accountant or the admin user, and you have access to those tools. So now work more efficiently and accurately with Accountant Toolbox tools. And this is a list of the resources that are available that will help you know more about the ProAdvisor program levels and, most importantly, access to the QuickBooks Accountant Toolbox. Comparing the payroll solutions, the enhanced payroll is required if your client wants to see that little badge that indicates 7 days in advance that payroll liabilities are due. The basic payroll subscription does not include that. The mobile devices, truly the star of the show this year. Oh, I know, they're all exciting. I love multi-monitor mode, actually. I really do like that. But the star of the show here is QuickBooks Enterprise with mobile inventory scanning. Requires advanced inventory, the Platinum subscription. So tell your clients to visit this link here. And then I referenced supported devices. Any Android device can install the app from Google Play Store and can be used. Now, if your client intends to scan the barcodes, it must be a compatible barcode scanner. That article there will provide lots of resourceful information about that. So let me take a look at the questions. And Woody, I know you've been helping me. If there's anything you feel that you saw multiple times that I've not addressed, feel free to just jump in right over me and mention it.
Laura, I do have one thing. An excellent presentation, by the way. I learned a lot about the new stuff, so thanks for doing this. I know someone saw it. Just one person asked the question, but I wanted to make sure there wasn't any kind of confusion on it. You know how we've had that multi-instance in desktop for a while, like for Account Edition and Enterprise, right? So I can have two companies open in different monitors and stuff. But the multi-monitor thing is something totally separate, and that's I'm just in the file and I can send a So could you just make sure that was totally clear?
Yes, indeed. With Accountant Edition and with Enterprise, you can have 2 QuickBooks files open, and you may move those files on different monitors. What's new this year is in a single QuickBooks file, you may extend the view of that particular single QuickBooks file up to 3 monitors. Now, if you imagine this, if you look at the screenshots, it's actually extending the top bar along all of the top of them, if that's how your monitors are displayed, or it would align the left bar if you've got monitors one on top of another. So now, instead of just moving multiple companies and only being able to work within that workspace, you now can work with multiple monitors. Look at the screenshot on that PowerPoint from my desk, because that's how I will be working. Thanks, Woody, very much. Let's see, does the inventory pick lists work with iPhones? You keep referring to Android phones. Mark, at this time, since I'm not in the development, they're only supporting Android. So I would keep up with that article for the supported devices. because all they're supporting is the MC40 devices. I believe that's a Motorola device. Don't quote me, but I think that's what it is. And then certainly any Android device works with that. Let's see how the program works on the branches. Now, I'm not sure if you mean on different sites, but you saw me demonstrate the sites. It will work with multiple site location as well. I picked that when I created the sales order. Let's see, a couple more minutes. Let's see. Yeah, so I see a couple of questions about the iPhone. Unfortunately, at this time, they're only supporting the Android. Let's see. Some other questions outside of our work scope here. All right, Woody, did I miss anything here?
No, not
Woody
that I
answered
can think of. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think
one
so.
question. Joan asks, does the email security regard the email settings for securing secure password authentication? And indeed, it does not encrypt the email that's sent. It is correct. It is using the secure password authentication. There are some kind of token that's passed back and forth between your webmail server and QuickBooks, but it was available in 17 as a slipstream release, so I have been using it for a bit. And I absolutely love not having to put in my webmail address every time. Let's see. Will these improvements be applicable to Premier Nonprofit Linda Collins? Oh, she's left, but these are all improvements other than the last one on the inventory. And the merge vendors had particular versions that they were required to be used. The merge vendors, you must either be in your accountant software or using Accountant Toolbox or an enterprise as an external or accountant or admin user. And the mobile device scanning is only with QuickBooks Enterprise with Advanced Inventory. Now, did we finish all the polling questions? I didn't see if did I get through all of the polling questions?
One more,
I think
Laura.
we did. There's one more. If there is, go ahead and push it out. My apologies. Okay. So to access merge vendor features while at the client site using QuickBooks Pro or Premier 2018, what is required? This is your last polling question to earn your CPE. We're right at the top of the hour here. QuickBooks accountant software at the client site, external accountant login credentials, ProAdvisor login, and external accountant user type. So your client is using QuickBooks Pro or Premier 2018. Then it would be the last one is the proper one. You need your ProAdvisor login and external accountant user type in order to access the merge vendors while at the client site. And let's see if any other questions came through. And Sherry, yes, there were 4 CPE questions. My apologies. I kind of scooted over that last one and then realized it just as we hit the top of the hour. Hopefully you all caught that. And the link for the materials is in the chat window. So if you click on the chat window, there is a link for the materials. It includes the PowerPoint and an extensive guide that I've provided that gives you more details about what's new in QuickBooks Desktop. Well, it has been a pleasure working with all of you today. I hope that today you have a good rest of the day and that you are as excited as I am about these new features in QuickBooks Desktop and can share them with your clients, encouraging them to get on the newest version. Thank you, Wendy, for helping out in the background there, and thank you, Woody, as always, for handling all those technical questions. I sure appreciate it, everyone. Have a wonderful day.